Welcome to another episode of Comedy Wham Presents with me, your host Valerie, and sometime kitty co-hosts Miss Purrington and Mookie. ComedyWham.com is your place to go for features about all Austin comedy. In addition to podcasts, Comedy Wham brings you articles, album reviews, our advice column, all of my Austin Chronicle articles about the Austin comedy scene. Check out the listing of festivals from across the country and the world, and our FPIA contest page. And hey, check out my article, Yee Ha Ha Ha, How Austin Turned Texas into a Comedy Powerhouse, available now on thebarbedwire.com. Our most popular feature is our events page for live comedy shows in Austin, Houston, and DFW, where 100% of the entries you see come from comics and producers. Click the Submit a Show button from the top of the homepage or events page to fill out the survey to get your show listed. It's free and easy. Tag us on your Instagram stories and we'll share your show promo to our followers on Instagram. We also offer paid promo boosts on our Instagram, so you can do that. And speaking of events, come check out our monthly Canyon Grill comedy show in Lakeway on first Wednesdays of the month. Want to support these resources we provide? You can donate to Comedy Wham on PayPal, Venmo, or even Patreon. Click the Support CW icon on our homepage to see the ways that you can help us. Our podcast was launched in 2016 to bring you funny people and their stories. As a fan, I like to delve into a comic's background and motivations, and we'll usually take a detour along the way. And I have a feeling we're going to take a lot of detours on this one. Consider the interview a way for you to get to know the folks that make the Austin comedy scene, maybe the Denver comedy scene, one of the best in the country. If you like this podcast, please rate and review us. Today, I met this comic in Denver, and I went back to look at my calendar to figure this out. In July of 2016, that is the first year that Comedy Wham Presents the podcast started. We met outside a tiny bar, and we talked about comedy when he was just really starting to get traction at the national level. Since then, or maybe even before then, he's opened for Dave Chappelle, Beth Stelling, Christina P., Colin Jost, and my personal crush, David Spade.
Hey-o!
He is a paragon of the Denver comedy scene, according to a company, a publication. I'm so thorough in my research. His debut special, and this might give it away. It's called Live from Gilladelphia. He produces the Boulder Comedy Show. He's also the head heckler at Whole Hecklers, roasting golfers for charity, and he runs a little show out of both Denver and Austin called Good Sessions.
Good Sessions, singular.
Good Sessions. And there you heard it, and now Comedy Wham presents our guest, Brent Gill.
Hey! We did it!
We did it!
We did it!
This has literally been at least 2 years in the making.
Yeah, it really has.
But I like to say it's also 8 years in the making.
Absolutely true.
We were geeking out. And the reason that I was there, I wasn't stalking anyone other than Kath Barbadoro.
Okay.
She was an Austin comic, but she was doing shows in Denver. I happened to be in Denver on the same week she was going to be there, and I wanted to go see her because she was one of my favorite comics. And you and I struck up a conversation outside, and I just remember that, geeking out with somebody, and I had just started this podcast, so I felt like super imposter-y.
Yeah. That was a year after I went full-time comedy. Yeah. I went full-time in 2015.
Wow.
So it was somewhere along that time range of about a year after when we were talking.
Yeah.
Do you remember what bar it was or what show it was?
I only remember that the
was?
performance space was upstairs. It was on a corner. It was upstairs, and I had to have been able to get there fairly
Deer
easily.
Pile. Was it Sam Talent Show?
That sounds right.
It was like a hipster
Oh my God, that was
indie
a
show?
Sam Talent show?
It was Fine Gentlemen. So it was Sam Talent, Nathan Lund, Chris Charpentier, and Bobby Crane.
Holy shit.
Yeah. That would be it. Because it was a bunch of it looked like there was a bunch of underage drinking happening, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was for sure. So,
Wow.
That was for sure Fine Gentlemen's. Yeah, the Fine Gentlemen's Club. That was a great time.
Oh my gosh.
I had some good times in that space.
Yeah.
One of my favorite roasts was in that space.
Yeah.
One of the comics on the dais was sold weed, and I go, so and so is here. He's the only one whose kids' college funds consist entirely of ones, fives, and tens. Because he sold drugs.
Oh, okay.
It's okay.
All right. Got it.
He sold like little drugs. He sold like a dime bag, not like real drugs. It's a lot funnier if you get drugs, or weed in general, which isn't really drugs. But that's so that was in 2016. So we were outside, big hangout outside the hallway. A lot of folks hung out as well because it was always full. It was a great boy. That was such a great time in Denver comedy. It really was
but I mean, Denver has continued to be like
it has changed. It's changed a little bit for sure.
Up.
The Comedy Fort?
Yeah, during
Comedy
pandemic.
Fort's incredible. That's in Fort Collins. What David Rodriguez has built up there, and what he was opening that in 2020, and so then he had to shut down immediately, and so
no.
Well,
that's not the order.
He couldn't open.
Yeah.
Because he was about to open and then couldn't.
Yeah.
But just what he was able to. Imagine starting a business and borrowing money and putting you and your family in debt to start this business. And then they're like, nah, you're going to have to wait. And then it's like, oh, shit. Like, imagine having to face that for the first time you've ever done something like that.
Yeah.
And then to have not only pulled it off, but pulled it off in such a grand way that so many comics want to be there. A lot of people are recording like their specials there, their album there. Helium and Mark Grossman and you know Helium Comedy Records, R.I.P. They brought in, like, Jeremy went and brought in, like, installed the sound gear and stuff like that. Like, that's how they kind of knew this was kind of a magical little place. And it's, he expanded it, I think, a third time, and I think it's like in the 140s now.
Oh.
It's like a perfect little space. It was like 110, 120, and now I think it's in the 140s, and it's just like you can see everybody, you can hear everyone. The roofs are kind of short. Like it's got all the things. It's in a great location. It's got everything you want for a good comedy club.
Yeah.
That's why the Comedy Works downtown was so great.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a good,
40
that's
plus
great.
years ago when she opened up there downtown on Ryder Square, that's all the walking traffic. That's all. It's downstairs. You can touch the ceiling with your standing up if if you're like 6 foot or taller. It's like real small. Skanks for the Memories was recorded there with David Tell. I mean, that's probably his best album.
Wow.
It's a pretty magical place.
Yeah.
For sure.
So on that same trip that I met you, I went to Comedy Works because I was, at the time, a really big Crystalia fan.
Yep, still are, aren't you?
No.
What happened? I don't understand. What happened?
The whole grooming thing. I actually, the first time those allegations came through, I was like, okay, I don't know. But then I ended up watching that YouTube thing, and I'm like, I don't know, that's a lot of stuff. And so I just decided, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. And I just used to think it was hilarious. And the one thing I hated about Comedy Works was they introduced...
Go ahead. No, I'm just joking.
They introduced me to that whole Yonder sleeve thing, and I hated that
Dave
thing.
Chappelle started that.
Did he really?
Yeah, we bought it from him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when he came in, he was doing those, and Wendy loved them. And then she either bought the stock that he had, and then they were just going to send him another, because he teamed up with you. I don't know if he owns part of Yonder, or he someone kind of came to him and he invested in it, or he just liked what it was and just bought their service. But that was the first time I'd ever seen them, was with Chappelle. Wendy loved him, so she bought him from him and started doing that.
Yeah.
Because it does. There's two things that kind of happen there. The more obvious one is that the artists don't want, if they're working on stuff, and in the age of out of context video clips, right? It's they don't even want that to be a thing,
right?
On the other side, which people don't really think about, which is good for us, is it makes it so the audience has to be here with us. You chose to come here.
I know.
You chose to leave your house, go fight with parking. If you have kids, have a sitter, dinner or not, drinks, the minimum, the ticket price, the getting shuffled in. You chose to do this, and you want to distract yourself with your phone? Oh, I got a text. Who fucking cares? Who cares who texted you? It's 90 minutes. Give yourself. Here's the thing, though, Valerie. Give yourself those 90 minutes. You chose to come here, so give yourself the honor of disconnecting from work, of disconnecting from that problem at home, of disconnecting with not talking to your sister for 90 minutes, because I promise you, all of those problems and thoughts will be there in 91 minutes.
Yes.
I promise you.
Sure. But you know what it doesn't protect against? The a-holes who don't do the airplane mode or turn off the volume on their phones. So you get the calls, it interrupts the show anyway, and then you've got somebody like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I can't silence this. And they got to, so.
Sure, that's a pretty small percentage. That's kind of like saying that, like, and I'm first of all, I'm pro-abortion. I'll say that for what I'm about to say. That's like saying, there's probably a better way to say that. It's like pro-choice, I think. But I'm pro-operate. Whatever. It's like saying that the majority of these people that are it's like pregnant from incest and stuff like that and can't get it. Well, yeah, it does happen. Sure. It's like 2%. It's 1%. It's like this very small percentage.
Yeah.
And do I have factual statistics on that quote that I just gave out? No, I do not.
Yeah,
Never looked it
not
up.
in today's America.
But I don't know anybody and this got off the rails so fast.
So fast. And you know what's shocking is I actually have an opening question.
We're in Texas. We're in the burbs of Texas, and I'm like, I'm pro-abortion. It's like a fucking idiot. I'm gonna get lynched when I get out of here.
Oh no, you're in a very conservative part of town. Oh no, sorry. Yes,
yeah.
Yes,
they hate me.
They do hate you. So they hate me, but that's why I don't tell anybody my politics. Okay, so let me throw out my opening question, and then we're actually going to start the podcast.
Okay.
No, one word.
Feel free to edit any of that out, including the last part.
I am too lazy for that. One word to describe your past.
My past? Mm-hmm. In what context? Like personally or like professionally?
Open-ended question.
Well, the first one that came to my head was troubled, but I don't think that's the answer. I want to think of a different synonym.
Complicated.
I like that one more.
Okay.
It's nicer. It wasn't troubled. I mean, it was, but hang on.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Monument, Colorado.
Okay.
Before that, I spent 7 years. So 5 to 12, I was in Atlanta, just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, in a suburb there. My whole family's Southern. So I like had that part of my upbringing and development was in Atlanta, was Georgia, the South. And then I had my 13th birthday in Colorado until 2017 so I'm 85. What would that be? That's 15. That's 20. It's 32 years old. I moved to California.
Okay.
And I was in Colorado the whole from 13 to 32.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like I would be jumping way ahead if I asked you why LA, but we all know why LA when you're in a smaller and you're kind of reaching the top of the pile.
It was there in New York. So I had got to a point in comedy in Denver where at the time, now this is like right, I mean, and the shift from the previous way of comedy to the current way of comedy, i.e. online, came very fast. The pandemic really like put a nail in the coffin, but it was already kind of coming. But I wanted to move to either New York or LA. And at the time in like 2016, 2017, when I was figuring it out, I went and so I had 12, 13 trips to New York for comedy. I lived out there for about 3 months to see if this is like kind of where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And then I went to LA for 1 week. And on day 2, I was like, well, I'm for sure moving here.
Oh.
Like, there's no question this is where I'm going.
Interesting.
And professionally, terrible move. It was the worst move I've ever made in my career.
Seriously?
Seriously. It was a terrible move for me personally. For me personally. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But for me personally, looking back on it, I think it was a bad move for me. I should have gone to New York. And in reality, I should have gone to New York when I wanted to go to New York. But my mentor at the time had a very good point for him. This wasn't a really good point for a 3-year comic, 4-year comic. Let's see here. So I went to New York the first time when I was a sophomore in college. So I started when I was a senior in high school. Sophomore in college was when I started going to open mics. So that was like 2005. I went to New York. I was also selling a bunch of weed, so I had a ton of money. So I went to like New York and had money.
Yeah.
And like, it was the greatest trip of my life. It was so fun.
Yeah.
Because if you have money in New York, it's a blast.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so much fun. So I went there. I did shows. I got on Gotham. I did a couple clubs that aren't even there anymore. I did UCB East. I mean, a lot of really fun shows. And I was like, I want to move here. This is for sure what I want to do. Because I knew when at 16 that I wanted to do comedy.
Good Lord.
I knew I wanted to do stand-up, acting, or something in the entertainment industry. I knew what I wanted. Comedy specifically was what I wanted first. So, I was a sophomore in college, and I was like looking at transferring, my credits and stuff, and like trying to go to NYU or something like that. And the new talent coordinator at the time, and a mentor, and I don't hold this against him at all. It was still my choice, but he said, "Don't go to New York or LA until you have something to offer," which is a great point, right? That's a fantastic point for a full-time veteran comic. If you're 2 years in, I wasn't. I kind of was, but even as a senior, a couple years in, I didn't have anything to offer yet, but what was overlooked is what I did have to offer was my energy, and my love of and my interest and my love of it, which 18 years in has waned. I still love doing it, but it's also like I'm finally like I don't need to go out. I don't need to do this 10-minute spot for no money. I'll just hang out here. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
It's just kind of gotten there. Which we'll get there in a second. But so I put all this work into Comedy Works, and I put all of this effort in. And of course, this is hindsight. It's 2020.
Of course.
And this is the time. This is the era of comedy. Now you can live anywhere. Like that's kind of where I'm getting at with all this is after the pandemic, it proved that you can do this on your own. You can live anywhere you want. But it's still true that you can only go so far. And at some point, the industry does have to be like, okay, you can come on in. At some point.
Yeah.
But you can make a damn good living on your own without him. So, 2 years in, if I would have put all that work into getting good at comedy in New York and producing and like creating and producing shows like I've found a knack for, that would have come regardless.
Yeah.
So if I put all that energy into New York when I wanted to, when I was in college, who knows what that would have done, right? Because that's the place. There's only 2 scenes that you need to be known in, or have someone care about you in. It's New York and LA.
Yep.
Now, because of what Rogan's done, Austin's kind of a third, but not really, because there's really no industry here still.
No,
it's just a bunch of fun. It's just so much. It's the capital of comedy right now.
Yeah.
But still, the stock exchange of comedy is still New York. End of story.
Okay.
So then when it came time to move, when I reached the top, so I didn't leave early, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll develop a skill, and I'll have something to offer now when I go, to one of these 2 coasts. So smash cut to, this is like 06, so 05, 06. So then, 2016-ish. I go full-time in 2015. I start the Boulder Comedy Show in 2013. I graduated college in 2008. Now, could I have done that the other way? For sure, but I did it backwards. So 08 college, 2013, 08 college, I think 2010 Boulder, or I get on the roster at Comedy Works, like the paid roster, like the pro roster. And then 2015 is my first time, or 2013 I start Boulder. 2015 I headline Comedy Works for the first time. And I go full time. And I open for Chappelle. And I do Red Rocks. Pretty cool.
Pretty damn cool.
My 30th year of life was pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah.
So, so then I go live in New York for a little bit, for a couple months, and then I go to LA, and I decide LA because at this time now, 2016, 2017, New York still does not like weed. And as lame as it may sound to some people, that's kind of important to me. That's my vice. That's my drug of choice. I love cars at this point, and that's not a car city. And the car that I had currently I really liked, and I didn't want to get rid of. And then I like playing golf, and there is no golf that's easy to get to. Yeah. So the three things that I really... and I don't mind... I like good weather, but I could deal with their weather. Uh-huh. But the three things that I really liked, I couldn't do in New York. Yeah. Now weed's fine there, but the other two still can't do.
You still can't do those.
So that's why when I got to LA, I was like, I'm for sure coming. There's no question. I rented a convertible. They upgraded me to a Camaro Super Sport, which is a massive V8. I was having the time of my life. I like Airbnb'd this dope spot that was upstairs, was owned by one of the founders of Funny or Die, or maybe he was like one of the upper management of them. Yeah. And so there was a pool on my floor. I walked out to the floor because it was an over-under, and they Airbnb'd the bottom out. And then it was just this gorgeous view of the Hollywood Hills. I'm like, this fucking rules. Of course I'm going to come here. Yeah. And so I did. Me and Steve and AJ went out there and roommate. We were roommates. And we were in Los Feliz on Sunset and Edgemont, right by the Blue Scientology building.
Okay.
If you know that from other documentaries.
No.
The massive blue, like the Scientology building. I was right next door to it. My cat's never been weirder in his entire life than that year and a half or year or so that we were there. Fucking weird, man.
So when did the luster start fading for LA? That even though your three favorite things.
Well, those three favorite things I still love, and that's why I still love LA. Yeah. Plus weather. I mean, it's awesome. I still have my apartment in LA. Oh. I haven't lived there in a year, and I moved here in September of 23. I still have my apartment there. My friend's subleasing it, but a lot of that's because it's like, hey, I'm going to have a golf trip out there. Yeah. You know, here's the thing. It ran, and I discovered this when I came here. And Austin's really kind of respiked it for me, which is great. Because what I realized is I like a city that's all in one place. I like that. Denver's not even like Austin is. Denver's still pretty spread out. Yeah. Austin, I live on South First in Barton Springs. I'm like right downtown. I had a dope e-bike, RIP, that I'll eventually have another one from, thanks insurance, it's a 6-minute ride to anywhere. I park it in front of the creek, and I just walk it's so cool. Yeah. 85% of the shows in Austin are right there. Mm-hmm. And that's not even including East Austin, because I count that as out further. That's in the 15%, like Cap City. Yeah. They're all right there, and it's so cool. I discovered when I got here that, I liked this. Yeah. In LA, the most important thing of when you pick a place to live in LA is to be by a highway or a couple of them. So the second place I went to, and I loved the place I still have. I love this place. Is on. It's right on the 134, the 101, right by the 405. I mean, I'm by all of these. Yeah. So if I need to go to the west side or to the coast, it's easy to get to. If I'm going into Hollywood or East LA, or Echo Park, Glendale, it's right there. If I need to go to Hollywood, it's right down the mountain. I mean, I'm so close. It's awesome. Yeah. But I'm also in the valley, which if you know anything about it, everyone's like, I don't want to go up there. I'm like, it's 11 minutes. What are you talking about? It takes longer for me to find parking near your house than it does for you just to drive to my home. So it's got this like stigma to it, but I have an 1,100 square foot 1-bedroom apartment for $1,500.
Holy shit, that's unheard of.
Parking, a pool. I'm not getting rid of any of that.
Yeah.
And there's no street sweeping either. So I've left cars there for months without even moving them.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Wow.
So,
okay. Jeez, Brent, how many houses?
3,
do you have?
5 cars.
Holy cow. Oh, I wanted to talk about the cars.
I pay full rent at 1. That's it.
Okay, but you're still
Pretty good at what I
3.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
But yeah, LA just kind of it just got to a point where it's that, and then the shows aren't very fun for people like me. What
does that even mean, though?
So, like, LA County, I don't love doing shows. And Troy Walker and I have gone back and forth on this a bunch. Troy writes for Kimmel, very good comic. And it's just like, they're so stuck up of, I don't know you.
Oh, yeah.
So even if you're fun, the only fun shows in LA County are don't tell comedy shows. Because it's like, the whole point of it is you're not going to know who these people are. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
And their whole brand is that we have created this image, this brand of like, you know that Don't Tell Comedy will be funny.
Yeah.
You might not know who they are, but you will. And that's why they're super fun. When I was prepping for my special, live from Gilladelphia, which you can find on my website, BrentGillComedy.com, or on my YouTube /BrentGill, I did all of my shows outside of LA County. I went to like San Bernardino, Ventura County. I went down to Huntington Beach a bunch, like Rec Room, because I knew that the audience in Philly is gonna be so different from LA. So why would I prep myself for that? I knew the jokes I wanted to tell, but I wasn't running my set. I knew I treated it like 2 people gave me really good advice on when I recorded my special, and it was, don't forget you're doing a show. It's their job to capture you doing that show. So don't play it up for the camera. Don't do things you think go do a show. And then the other one was, don't overrun your set. Because it's going to get stale for you by the time that you finally run it.
Oh,
so I did some of the jokes from it, and like I was just doing jokes randomly, like here and there, but I didn't run the set at all before I did the special.
Wow.
And it was awesome. Because it felt fresh for me too, and I was. Like I said, I'm very pleased with that special. It's not the prettiest. It's not like we did it with Helium Comedy, with Helium Comedy Studios, and it was part of their push to do specials and stuff like that. And my weekend, there was 4 of us doing them, and it was me, John Doerr, Matt Alano Martin, and Ramin Mostafafi, and it was great. Like, everyone's pickup shots were going to be in their half hour. So everyone did an hour, everyone did a half hour, and then everyone did a guest spot, and everyone hosted.
Okay.
So we all rotated throughout for all the 4 shows of the weekend. And then my special night, like when I was doing my hour, John Doerr went before me and did the hour on the early show. He didn't love it. So he fucking took 45 minutes on his late show when he was supposed to do 30. So I didn't get on stage till 22 minutes after I should have gotten on stage.
Ooh.
And I'm in the back having like a Bernie Mac moment, like, cause that whole that part, I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. All that was because the guy in front of him was bombing. And then the host couldn't get him back. I think it was Martin Lawrence couldn't get him back, and he's like, all right, well, here's Bernie. And Bernie's back there like, I'm not letting this motherfucker ruin my time. This is my time to shine. This is me. And I'm back there, I'm like, fuck all of that. This is my special.
Yeah.
And so it was really, really fun. So please watch it. It's cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was talking about that first for some reason. I forgot where we were going with it.
Well, I'm still curious as the,
when did I lose it?
I guess if you're realizing that.
So I went from doing 6 to 8 shows a week to doing 3 to 5 shows a month.
Oh, ouch.
10 a month if it's a good month. And a lot of times I had to leave to go do shows. So in order to get paid to do comedy, because I was already full time, so I had to leave LA to go make money. And then I came back and I was tired now. And then it's like Monday, Tuesday shows, Wednesday shows. And it's like, well, these kind of suck. And then everybody's trying to get those because everyone has to leave to go make money. So then that's when everyone's trying to get them. And it's just like, it's like, this sucks. I don't want to have to be that guy that's like, can I get a spot? Can I get shows? Can I? I hated all that.
Yeah. But you had the presence of mind because there are some comics out there who are like, nope, got to push it through. I came to LA. I'm going to make it in LA. I can't go back.
Yeah. So there's that. And it's a difference of lifestyle choices. Mm-hmm. I worked for Apple for the 4 years before I went full time. I was a senior advisor with AppleCare. So by the time that I was like the last 2 years of Apple, I'm making like, because the way that I decided if I was going to go full time or not was I looked at my taxes and what I filed for my business for stand up and all that stuff. And I looked at that and I took 30% of that off. And once that number was enough to cover all of my bills, 30% less than what I made. Because presumably I'll make more money next year, but comedy is fickle.
Yeah.
So 30% is, I think, fair. So I took 30% off. And once I was able to make enough money doing stand-up minus 30% to cover all my bills and living expenses, then I waited another year and made sure... and then I went full time. So at the time, in like 2015, 2016, 2014 and 2015, combined income, I'm making like $140K as a single dude with a $900 apartment. I mean, it was like, and I was living alone. I had a cool car. I had cool glass. It was great.
Yeah.
And so that's how I wanted to live. I don't want to have 5 roommates. I don't want to have one roommate. You know what I mean? I want to have toy cars that I have that are just for fun. I want to have a crazy e-bike that looks like a Harley. I want those things.
Yeah.
And so I have a kind of a way of life. And so what happened is like, if you choose to go that route where you're like, well, I moved to LA, I need to commit to LA.
Yeah.
I saw my friends do this, and it works for some of them. Doesn't work for all of them. But like Troy is a great example. And I won't give exact numbers here, but Troy was healthy 5 figures in debt. Healthy 5 figures. Not quite 6, but like healthy 5s.
Okay. It rounds to...
Because what he did was he was betting on himself. So he would put things on his credit card, and then he'd just carry the balance over, and then that's how they get us. And then he'd get like a gig, and then he'd be able to pay a huge chunk down. But he still was like, before he got Kimmel, I remember he still lives in the same apartment he lives in when he moved out there.
Wow.
So, and he's been there for like 10 plus years. And when he got Kimmel, he was finally able to pay all that off because he bet on himself and he made it work.
Yeah.
For sure. Now, how many comics do we know that bet on themselves and and have a 200 credit rating? Right? Or a bankruptcy or whatever it is. Yeah. Half of them probably don't even know how to file bankruptcy or spell it either. But so it's like, I knew that if I was gonna bet on LA, it didn't feel right in my gut. I had never even I was never even a resident of California. I lived there for 7 years. I never got a California driver's license. I was always a Colorado resident. I'm still a Colorado resident. I think in 25 I'm gonna finally change it. It just fucks up my healthcare, so I don't know how that's gonna work. But most of my money next year is gonna come from Texas, and that income tax thing's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
So,
but you don't get any of
no, they fuck you. They fuck you everywhere else. Property tax is insane.
Yeah.
I haven't registered any cars here yet, but.
That's not bad. 25. They're getting rid of the inspection, so that'll save you
Shut up!
$20. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you kidding?
No. You didn't.
Say it again. No, say it again. Say it again. Say it again. What?
Starting in 25, they are getting rid of the inspection requirement.
Like emissions inspections?
Oh.
Or what inspection? Because I have a check engine light on this van that's like, it's not a big deal. It's just a vacuum leak, but I can't get it registered. And I also bought it 2 years ago. So it's getting to be a problem.
We don't. Maybe if you live in a big city, you have an emissions requirement.
Yeah, most of them do. It's the county.
Yeah.
So I have one of my race
that I've
cars is registered in
one of my race cars. He just drops
Los
that
Animas
casually.
County. Now, race car is the only way to describe it. It's not a race car, but it's the only way to describe it. It's race car shit.
Yeah.
But it's registered in Trinidad because they don't have emissions.
Yeah. Yeah, so I that part I can't say for sure, but yeah, you will no longer have to wait on an inspection before you can get registered.
That rules.
Yeah.
That rules.
But we'll leave you dying in the street if you need health care.
100%. 100%. I mean, they might change their ways these days. You know, they might be afraid of getting shot.
Nah. Well, I mean, our governor has been lobbed by a tree. He doesn't give a shit.
That's probably true. That's probably true. Shit. Well, I meant that like the healthcare people though.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But back to wrap all that up is I knew that felt like the case, and I just didn't feel at peace there. I liked it. It was more of a vacation than it was anything else. And I don't like not doing stand-up.
Yeah.
I think it's part of what makes my soul feel happy. And so the problem is there's just no money in stand-up. So that's why I've gone into production, into whole heckling, into all this kind of stuff. And whole hecklers is, for the most part, going to be my most of my income. It's like that's my main gig now, income-wise, until I get a new venue for Boulder. But even then, I'm not planning on that to be my income anymore because I'm bringing in other people. I'm just changing the whole thing up there. I've lived off of that pretty well for a long time. It's time to let some other people have that entity. Yeah. But so that's when it kind of fucked it up there. And in LA, it's like being funny is so unimportant. Like it's important. It's crucial, actually. Sorry, hang on. And let me rephrase this. So being funny is very important to open those doors, right? You got to be funny for them to want you. And then as soon as they agree that you're funny, it's like, great, we don't care. What else can you do? Yeah. It's so doing stand-up is so low on their list of importance. It's can you write, can you act, can you improv, do you look good, like what are these other things that you can do that we can be like, oh, one of his skills is he's a comedian, so they're funny. Everyone's looking for funny, especially in like commercials. Comics are on these commercials all the time because they can take a shitty script and be like, well, this should be, or they at least know how to read a joke. Yeah, you know what I mean. And so it was just being a stand-up comedian was so. Troy, point in case. He writes for Kimmel. How many comics do we know that are writers? Tons of them. Yeah. And they're super comfortable. They make a great living. And they just kind of like, what's the point of stand-up? I do it because I want to do it. That's why we do it because we want to do it. Yeah. Even when, like if someone like that's going on the road to do, all right, well, you don't sell tickets because we don't know who you are, but you're very funny. So here's your $2,000, your $1,500, and then they're like, yeah, I make that in 2 days, and I don't have to go anywhere.
Pretty nice.
So that's what kills the fucking lust of for comedy. It's that. So.
Okay, we're past the halfway point. We're gonna do this little intermission, and then we're gonna talk some more about you. This has been like really great, like the business of comedy.
That's the problem. I'm really good at that.
Yeah, I could tell. Yeah, you're doing calculus when it comes to all of your decisions.
Yeah, these kids are over here doing arithmetic. Yeah, I'm out here doing calculus. And then they have 800,000 followers, and I'm like, what the fuck? I can make $800,000. Can you? No. So fuck off.
Okay, Brent, point to the card that you want me to read to you. It's the cat feeder.
Got it.
You're
I was like, is there a
"What the hell?"
child here? And I'm just yelling fuck into a microphone.
Oh, even if there were, it's fine.
What am I doing?
Point to the card that you want me to read to you. So point to one of these. Okay, so I'm going to read this card to you. This is from Where Should We Begin by Esther Perel. It's a card game, and I'm going to read this to you after you read this question to me, and then we'll see what I can make of this question that you're going to ask me.
I mean, it's not a question. It's a prompt.
Sure.
I've never shared the whole story about the time.
Good Lord.
Here, I'll let you read it. It got me too. That was a wild one. Tell me about Cabo. Wichita Falls, Texas.
Well, I've never shared the whole story about the time that me and my best girlfriend went to New Orleans. We were both married. This is not going to go where you think it is, but it is going to be quite a wild ride.
I'm pretty excited already.
We wanted to have a girls. I almost said single girls.
I thought you were going to say threesome. I'm still waiting for threesome to come out.
No. We ended up crashing a guy's bachelor party.
Love that.
We ended up being these two random girls with these bachelor party guys. There was like 5 of them. There was never a threesome. There was never a twosome. Not that I know of, although my friend is still not 100% convinced, because I went back to the room after 4 a.m. of just hanging out with these guys all over New Orleans. We almost made it into a strip club, but I think we were like, yeah, maybe we'll hang back. These dummies wanted to hang with us instead of going to the strip club.
How long ago was this?
This was, gosh,
yeah,
15.
Yeah, because you know how much
years?
cheaper you are than strippers?
Oh, I guess that's true.
It's a lot cheaper.
That's true. Calculus, man.
I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah, so, I'm divorced since then, but I never told my husband at the time. She never told hers. They're divorced too.
Shocker.
And, yeah.
56% of the country.
Crazy. All right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
And y'all didn't do anything with them? Did they try to make moves on y'all?
Well, my girlfriend is the hotter one, so they all wanted her.
It's all subjective.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, between me and her, she was the hot thing.
What a bitch.
So no. So yeah, I was just kind of like, meh.
Yeah.
To them.
Yeah.
They're all like, oh, Kelly. Oh, I shouldn't have said her name out. Whatever. We're still
You strike me as you don't do a lot of edits in this
I don't.
podcast.
I'm too lazy. No.
You rip that cord and that motor started and it's there until it runs out of gas.
Yep. All right, you ready for yours?
Let's do it.
Oh, this one should be fun.
Is it a question or a prompt?
That's a prompt. I didn't even know these were called prompts. I've always been calling these. See,
well, a question
you're
ends with a
educating.
question mark.
True. You're right. Yeah.
And it always goes up at the end? It doesn't just trail off.
All these years, I've been calling this a damned question. Right.
No one's corrected you?
No one.
For 10 years? 8 years? You've never been corrected on this?
I've been doing this card game for like 4 years, I think.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad I could change the whole trajectory of your intermission.
You have, yeah. A mistake I'll never make again.
Oh boy.
Just
God.
pick one.
Oh yeah, I got 2 in my head already. I'll never trust her again. And I should have just bought a new car. There we go. Yeah. So I'll unless you're like together. Mm-hmm. If you say you're pregnant, I don't believe you. We're getting a test. End of story.
Oh, okay.
End of story. I'm not signing a birth certificate. You fucking nightmare.
That's deep.
I had a black baby with a white girl one time back in 20.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh, shit.
That was 14 years ago? 2010? Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Tell me the car story is not so sad.
That's what I'm saying. Complicated is a great way to describe my background.
That is. Holy cow.
Complicated. I built this car, and it was supposed to cost $20,000, and by spring I'll be $50K into it, and I should have just bought a new Corvette. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I could have put it on loan. I didn't need to fucking spend all this money. And this is over. We started it in February of 23.
Okay.
And then there's a shop out here in Austin. There's a shop out here in Austin on 290. Is that the highway, right? Mm-hmm. Going out towards Belle Terre. It's on the right side. It's called Torque Performance. TORQQE Performance. Egg them. Give them 1-star reviews. TP them. They are the worst shop in Austin. Oh. They have cost me $8,000 to repair the bullshit work that they've done on my cars. They're so bad. Oh. They're so bad. They're so bad. Torque Performance. TORQQE Performance. Can go fuck themselves. If everybody who's listening to this goes and gives them just a 1-star review out of nowhere, that would make my day. It would make my year. That would be worth at least $2,000 of the $8,000 I've had to spend fixing their shit.
Didn't you have the hint, though, that they misspelled their own company name?
Well, Torque Performance is another company. So, but it's a huge shop. It's a big old shop. They have a bunch of cool cars outside. They're just very bad at what they do. They tuned my car with the AC on.
Oh.
Which, I know that doesn't make any sense to you.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what that means. We're trying to get performance out of the motor. And the AC takes about 20% of that performance away. So when you're racing, you don't use the AC. Ever.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers tuned it with the AC on. And then told me it. This car was so undrivable, it blew out my drive shaft, my diff bearings, my center support bearing. I had to replace my rear camber arms. All from their bad work. On my other car, they didn't even tighten the bolts and screws when they installed the clutch master cylinder, so it was just shooting a bunch of fluid out of my clutch reservoir into the footbed well of my car.
Wow. Okay, he's very visibly upset.
So if I
TORQQ
Torque Performance,
yeah.
2 Qs.
2 Qs.
So if I would have known that this BMW was going to cost this much, $20,000 fine, but 50 is a mistake. I made a huge mistake.
Yeah.
I love the car. It's super fun. It's super fun. But I can't tell people enough how much of a mistake I've made.
Oh.
Yeah. I should have just bought a new Corvette. Because I basically spent $50,000 building a Corvette into a BMW.
Yeah.
Because I put Chevy parts, like a Chevy motor, like a big old Chevy V8, into a old BMW.
My dad was a big sports car guy, and he, when I was young, he went through a couple of Trans Ams, and then he went through a couple of Corvettes, and his last Corvette was really cool, but Corvettes are pieces of shit.
They are American made for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. What year was it? Do you remember?
Oh man, I don't.
The last one? Was it like late 90s, early 2000s? Was this like a couple years ago?
He had a Corvette in the 2000s, so
C5.
Yeah. And then he got a second one, and that one seemed to do slightly better.
Yeah, that's the C6. That's the LS3.
Okay.
It's a great car.
That
thing's jumping up in value right now.
It had such a cool story. And I regret, when he passed away, my mom had said, "Do you want the car?" I hate low-sitting cars. Yeah. And so I said, no. I regret that to this day.
Yeah.
Regret that to this day.
Oh, you can put that on here.
Yeah. Yeah. The cool story with that car is it was one of 3 that had been built custom for a film. And they were going to be exploded and destroyed. And they ended up not needing to. And
they got the shot on one.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So he got to buy that car. It was his dream car. And it was yellow. He always loved yellow Corvettes. So they were, every time we see a Corvette now, we're like, and especially if it's a yellow one, we're like, oh, Poppy's. Yeah. Poppy's there.
That's great.
Yeah.
So those C6 Corvettes are and the C5s are great motors, great cars. the problem is like you're right. The stuff on the insides, like the other stuff, is not great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even in the C8, the new one that looks like a Ferrari. It's an awesome car. It's the coolest car. For the price.
Yeah.
There is nothing in its class. The next closest is like $200,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is one of the coolest cars. And it's but like when they first started to come out, like the lines on it were all like where they put the hood or the frunk, I guess the hood. You could see like huge gaps over here, and it was tiny over here. Just nothing was like seated right.
Yeah.
They looked kind of bad, but I remember when they released those. I was at the LA Auto Show the year they came out, and I was like, Corvette just changed the game.
Yeah.
Because they put out a car for $60,000, $65,000 that was as fast as a Bugatti. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what?
Up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, since you're a race guy, you know about the racetrack up in that, I forgot what it's called, but just north of Fort Worth.
Oh, I don't know about that one. There's one between here and Dallas that I know about.
This one is north, and I can't remember if it's definitely not an F1.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a NASCAR either. It's it's some
Sure.
other racetrack.
There's racetracks around,
Yeah.
for sure.
They had a charity event, and he would go for the
Nice.
charity and race it around. A couple times I got to go, which was really fun. So I was
Nice.
getting to drive on a racetrack with his Corvette.
It's fun.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. I can't wait to take my car to COTA.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go to one of the track days or just to like one of the events, just so I
Yeah.
can go drive it. But I'd rather go to like I'd rather loop in with a private track day somehow, so there's not a bunch of other cars out there.
Yeah.
Because I only kind of know what I'm doing. Like I've taken like private lessons where it's just me and the like and the instructor.
Yeah.
But not enough to have my license. And also that car is not. Well, that car is kind of built for the track. It was built for the canyons. So when I built that car, it's a 2005 BMW 3 Series 2-door
Okay.
with a 6-liter V8 out of a Cadillac. So it's an LQ9 if you know cars. It's the E46 chassis if you know cars. And then
I so don't know cars.
that's fine. But then we mated this American GM, like General Motors motor, to the ZF transmission out of a E36 M3, which doesn't matter either, unless you know cars.
You could see my.
But it's a German transmission and an American motor, so those don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
So the adapter that we had to get for it cost more than the motor and transmission combined, just to make these two work, and it was so fucking worth it. It was so worth it. Oh, so worth it. I say that I shouldn't do this again. This car is so fun. It is so fun. For the price I paid, I should have bought a Corvette.
Yeah.
But it is so damn fun.
And you're making it your own. Like,
It's
there's
my
no
car.
Other. Yeah.
Which is the problem, though, because when something goes wrong,
Yeah,
I
your fault.
didn't wrench this car.
Yeah.
I wrote checks for this car.
Yeah.
I picked what I wanted, and I was like, yeah, let's do this, let's do that, and then they put it together. So when shit goes wrong, then it's like, well, who do I take it to?
Yeah.
Do I have to
Yeah.
fly it? Do I have to fly the builder down to where it is? Like, I don't know what's wrong with it. It's making a noise. Just hop on a plane, come down. Like I don't. I have to find a spot, like a shop out here that I can take it to. But I think more of the car events I go to once I get that car back, because they screwed it up almost immediately after I got here. Because all I wanted to do was just tune it so it would adjust for the air density down here, because we built it up in the mountains in Denver, and so there's way more density down here. So I wanted to change it up a little bit.
Sure.
And they screwed it up so bad. So I haven't really gotten. I went out to Trinidad, Colorado, which is where the car's registered, after it was fixed, and I went driving with my buddy who's got a '62 Buick.
Wow.
And so we went on these not abandoned, but there's like these random ass highways that go out towards Kansas that no one is on, and you can see, like, it's such a long stretch, you can almost see like the curvature of the earth. It's so long.
Wow.
So what a fun time when no one's coming
Right.
to go open her up.
Uh-huh.
And I found out the top speed, which is pretty cool. And we were just like, cruising at like 90, 100, just down this 2-lane highway. It was very fun.
Yeah.
Got a lot of cool video, but because I never get to do that.
Yeah.
So my buddy and I were joyriding in his car in between comedy shows, and he didn't make it back. And so I kind of have this thing with like being a jackass around other people, I don't want to do that. So being on an abandoned road like that, like, yeah, now I'll open her up. But I hate it when I see people in like highways, ripping, like racing through highways. I'm like, it's not even, it's like 11 p.m. There's still like people on the road. This isn't, if you're going to do that shit on the road, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., fine. But go to a racetrack. Yeah. That's why I get so mad about how these cities are allowing these housing developments to push these racetracks out. You moved into a racetrack. You moved in next to a racetrack. There's a drag strip in Morrison called Bandimere Speedway. It's been there for 70 years. There was nothing around it when they built it. Zero. And in the last 70 years, now there's houses real close to it, and they're bitching about it. I'm like, you moved next to a racetrack. And so now it has to be sold, and it's being repurposed.
Wow.
And that's what pisses me off, is because you're bitching when we do it in the public, and then like we're putting you and your family at risk. So then when we have a place to go do it, you're bitching about it there too. Well, where do you want us to go?
Yeah.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it. And so...
do you know about the racetrack that's near the airport? The small racetrack?
The little tiny one?
I think it's a fairly tiny one.
No. I know about Coda, which is out there.
No. That's too far. That's big.
Okay.
There's a small one. Because for my birthday a few years back, I did one of those, I forgot what it's called, something experience, where you basically get to rent, like, high-end race car.
That's cool.
And it was at this tiny little racetrack, but it was...
What direction of the airport is it?
North of the airport.
Like just north?
East of 35 in the downtown area.
Let me look at this.
I don't remember the name, but
I can't wait.
I'm sure it'll come up.
Now I want to know. Austin Circuit. What is that? Austin Race Parking. Big Red. That's all Coda.
Yeah, no, it's not as far as Coda. You need to look just north of the airport.
Interesting.
And I had no idea it was there either.
It might be like a privately owned.
Could be.
I don't see it. I want to go to a tiny little racetrack.
Yeah.
I just like, like letting her fucking rip.
Yeah.
And going like, I also like safe areas where you can tell like, you can only experiment so much on an on-ramp with how much grip your car has to see what it has. You have to like be in a place where you can fail and not be catastrophic.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why like racetracks are fun, because now you can learn the limits of your car, and the only way to learn a limit is by going over the limit.
Yeah.
So you spin out, fine, you're in grass, or you're in asphalt, or like like a rock bed, but you're not in a guardrail.
Yeah.
You're not in some Subarus. I try to be pretty respectful with it.
Yeah.
It's hard, because I have a sleeper, and it's like if you look at my car, you would have no idea that this can do what it can do. You would have no idea.
My dad, bless his heart, never went over the speed limit on highways. Never. He had this thing. This powerful thing, never spit on.
He got up to the speed limit real fast.
He got up, yeah, and I love that. When I had to drive it for whatever reason, I'm like,
it's so fun.
Yeah.
Just the roar of a V8. It's unstoppable.
Oh, we have gone so off the rails.
What do you want to talk about?
I actually want to go backwards in time, because you said you were a sophomore in high school.
Senior
in high school when you started.
Yeah.
What was it that inspired you to get started and even decide that early that this is what you wanted?
So sophomore in high school, I wanted to do comedy. That's when I started, back then, this is 2002. So this would be, I hate saying this now, but you got to keep in mind, it's 2002. Dane Cook was one of the biggest things on the planet.
Yeah.
Carlos Mencia was huge. I liked, and if those two are two high energy comics, Kings of Comedy. I loved Cedric, the Entertainer, Bernie Mac. I loved later on in my career. Like my idol is Patrice O'Neal. That's who I wish I could be like comedy wise. But he wasn't really an influence on me when I was young. It was. I mean, obviously Chris Farley was my youngest influence. When I started opening for Spade, I was like, I can't believe this.
That's nuts.
Like this, like Farley is why I got into comedy.
Yeah.
Him and like Sandler, and like, Spade was too. As a child, who I'm like identifying who I want to be as a comedian with. Spade wasn't it. Which is probably why I'm opening for him, because that wouldn't have worked if like, oh, this is exactly what I want to do, and that's probably why he likes me, because he probably sees a little bit of Farley in there. Yeah. So senior year, I could have graduated early. I didn't want to. I had nothing else to do, because I was smart.
He's doing calculus.
I did. There was a independent study class that you could do in the Gifted and Talented program. I'm kind of a big deal. And you could study anything you want, and it counted for college credit. And I was like, all right, cool. So I was like, I want to how to be a comedian.
Wow.
And so I got a book called Stand Up Comedy, the Book, which is still in circulation. That lady's making a grip of money on that. I mean, I bought that 20 years ago.
Yeah. Is it the thing that people call the Comedy Bible?
No.
Oh, okay.
There's that too. It may be the same person, but this is Stand Up Comedy, the Book.
Okay.
I don't know. That's just what it was
I
called.
should know, but I...
And so it was Judy something who wrote it.
I think that's the one I'm thinking of.
She might have written the Bible, too.
Because I know, she's been around,
Yeah.
and people refer to her book all the time.
So, I mean, maybe she wrote like a new version of it and like called it and like changed it a bit. But anyway, so I read that, and the biggest thing that she said there was, emulate who you like until you figure out who you are.
Ooh.
Right, which is great. So Chris
Absolutely.
Farley was who that was for me. And so in that class, I learned about the Denver comedy scene. I learned about the open mic night at Comedy Works. And I was going to sign up for that, and my parents had to come.
Yep.
And then that didn't work because he didn't know who the fuck I was. And so back then, it like took weeks and weeks and weeks to get on there. You had to call every day, or I'm sorry, every week, once a week. Put your name on the list, and eventually you'd get up. It was like 6 to 10 weeks. So I finally get up, and we're on family vacation.
Oh, shit.
So I call him. I was like, and I leave a message. I was like, I'm so sorry, I can't do it. Blah blah blah. Of course, I got no call back. He's like, I don't know who this guy is. I probably sounded like a child. And so I did it at my high school talent show, and it was really just kind of like, I don't know if you'd say stand up. I mean, it was stand up, but it was like written out. Like I wrote it almost word for word, and I was so nervous before I went up. I dry heaved in the parking lot, right before I went up. Like the person on me before me was on, and I like went out the back door and like dry heaved, and then went up, and it was awesome. It was so fun. I cried. It was very fun because like I was doing jokes about me. I was doing jokes about the school. I was doing jokes about things that everyone there could relate to, like student wise. If the parents got it, whatever. But it was for the students, and it went really well. So then that's senior year, freshman year in college. So at this point, I've been writing. I had a notebook with me at all times, because that was one of the things in the book. So I'm writing down notes and stuff like that, and ideas for a whole year. And then, let's see here. When was it? It had to be like the winter of 2004. Or something about winters, I guess. But I did a one-man show in my dorm room basement. So I like had planned it, but I didn't really do a lot of stuff to plan to like get it out. So day of, I was like, hey, I rented the thing downstairs. Like, no, you didn't. I was like, what? They're like, well, there's no one there, so you can still do it, but you didn't. No, you didn't. And so I go around to all the dorms and I knock on everybody's door. If they open, I was like, hey, I'm doing a comedy show downstairs in an hour. Get as high and drunk as you can and come down and party with us. I would everybody in my dorm. It was just my dorm room, and there's probably like 50 people that came down, and I did an hour.
That's good.
I just riffed an hour. Wow. And that went really well. I'm sure. I mean, it's all subjective. It went well, but like my memory of
you
it was
did encourage them to be high and drunk. So.
Yes, and my memory of it was like, this is awesome. I love stand-up comedy. I want to do this forever. And then so the next year, the winter of 2005, I found a open mic at a local bar in Boulder that was down the street from my apartment, and it was called the Redfish, and comedy writer Dave Burdick was running it at the time. Actually, everybody who ran that show doesn't do it anymore, which is kind of funny. But so I started doing that was my first open mic, and then I started going to open mics and different. Because sophomore year in college, I got my car. My mom wouldn't let me have my car in freshman year because I lived on campus. So sophomore year, I got the car, and then I started going to mics, started going downtown to Denver and doing shows there. Smash cut to 2013, the place that I started the Boulder Comedy Show at, which is Boulder's longest running comedy show, it shared a wall with what was the Redfish. So it's like which was really, really cool. And now the new venue I'm trying to get into is the stage that was the Redfish.
Whoa!
It is the actual stage that I started on.
That's cool.
It is cool. So I'm trying to manifest that actually works and they want to have me back. I don't know why they wouldn't.
Yeah.
The last year I was at the beer garden in 2019, I brought 9,990 paid customers.
I mean,
for a once a week show.
You didn't meet 10,000 though. So.
See, and like every time I say that, I'm like, fuck, I could have just put $100 in and just called it $10K. But yeah, it was so I was like, I can do this. I have a 15,000 person email list. This is, and I really hope that the universe puts it in line for that. Because again, I won't really be running the show anymore, but it is my brand. It is what I built. It's my email list. It's what I've done comedy for 18 years. 11 of those I've done the Boulder Comedy Show. It's hard to just let it go. Yeah. And while it's better for me to let it go and not do it anymore because I have other things I'm working on. I haven't lived in Colorado since 2017, 2018. So, like, pass it on. But it's still my show. So if I get this, if this venue comes through, which I hope it does, I'll own the entity and stuff like that. But I'm going to have my old intern and two of my buddies kind of run the show. They'll book it. They'll do all that stuff. Yeah.
But you can still but
it's still my show.
Yours. Yeah.
Created by Brent Gill.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I just kind of knew I originally wanted to do it because I wanted to fix SNL. You know, like when I started getting in like late high school, I was like, God, this shit sucks. Because at that point, Farley and Sandler and Spade and Rock and all those guys and Quinn have all left. And now it's like, it's Mango, it's Daryl Hammond, which is still fine.
Daryl Hammond and then Farrell.
So Daryl Hammond's a bad example, but it just wasn't what I remember. It wasn't. I like the silliness of the Farley Sandler cast, Chris Rock, all those guys. Yeah. So that's why I got into comedy. Yeah. Wow. And I knew that if I couldn't do stand-up, I would want to do something in the industry of entertainment, of comedy entertainment. And, you know, that's maybe why I view, you know, you have to take everything I say with a grain of salt. That's maybe why I view comedy the way I view it. Because I know that stand-up doesn't pay the bills until you're huge. Yeah. Well, how do you get huge? Or until you can sell tickets is the best way to phrase that. You don't have to be huge. You got to be able to sell tickets for you. Yeah. And until you can, and how do you do that? Well, correct me if I'm wrong, it used to be the Tonight Show. Mm-hmm. Comedy Central presents. Now it's Instagram, it's TikTok, it's Twitch, it's YouTube, it's however you choose to connect to your audience now. It's on you now.
Yeah.
And so until I can sell tickets, comedy is just fun. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of heartbreaking. You know? Because at 16, I didn't want to own a comedy club. I wanted to do stand-up. And then for 11 years, I essentially owned a one-night-a-week comedy club. And I had to book it. I had to pay out. I had to, I had all that stuff.
Yeah.
Taxes, bookkeepers, CPAs, It's like now it's business. like when I started, and now it's like this is a full-on business. It's a full-on business. And it's like...
It just got sad, Brent.
I know. That's how it is.
Yeah.
That's how it is. But it's easy to get caught up in that. Just like it's easy to get caught up in whoever's listening's day job, right?
Yeah.
You dream for, and it's the same with relationships. It's the same with body image. It's the same with everything. You want what you don't have, right? The stability of an actual job sounds kind of cool, but then I'm like 9 to 5. Are you fucking kidding me? I woke up at 11 today.
Oh man.
Are you fucking kidding? There's no way. I went to bed at 4 and I woke up at 11. There's not, and that's not the normal routine, but like sometimes I wake up at 8 and I just get to work and I go to bed at midnight. No big deal. But it's my choice. Sometimes I wake up like I'm gonna go play golf today, and I'll go play golf today. So it's give and take. Yeah. But it's at the end of the day, I have to keep reminding myself that, sure, stand-up might not be what's paying my bills, but entertaining people is. And on top of that, this new thing with like whole hecklers, we have 3 more events on Monday that we're doing. And so far we've raised $413,000 for different charities just this year alone.
Wow. So...
At the end of the day, it's like I'm doing entertainment. I'm doing comedy for sure. I still can do stand up when I want. I know that's what it is. But this business that I just sighed at has really provided me with a lot of really cool opportunities. Yeah. I get to play a lot of really cool exclusive golf clubs for free. I've gotten to meet really cool, famous people, musicians, coaches, like football coaches, stuff like that. Wow. And it is like. Yeah, at 16, I didn't think that I'd have to deal with filing taxes in 9 different states. Jeez. But, Spade has to file in every state he performs in. Wow. Josh Blue has to file in every state he performs in. Wow. That's like 39, 40 fucking filings. Yeah. I mean, think of how much that fucking costs, dude. It's so much money. Wow. I didn't think about that. So it's like... Yeah, you don't think about that when you're 16 and you really want to do it, but you don't realize you're in it and you get lost in it, and that's why you're like, I just want to do stand-up. But the healthy part, the thing that you have to keep in mind is to help yourself. You got to remind yourself that, yeah, you didn't do the one thing that you're still doing. You didn't quit. You're still doing that. Yeah. And you're doing it on a relatively big level.
Pretty big level.
Yeah. And so you're still doing that. But yeah, your money comes from over here. That's okay. Yeah. That's all right. Yeah. Because what's also cool about this is I get to pay other comics money now. I get to create work for other comedians so that they can leave their day job. Yeah. I have now become this entity that is like through Whole Hecklers or through my stand-up shows or whatever it is, specifically Whole Hecklers, I have this roster of comics and I'm like, hey man, you want like a good hunk of money for a 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. gig that you can still do stand-up for at night? Yeah. Like, yeah. So it's still pretty cool.
Beyond paying them and giving them that opportunity, you're also teaching them
how to do business,
entertainment, and the business. Yeah. Yeah. That sometimes you got to look outside of the small stage you're on. Yeah. And think about. What else can I do? Yeah. What else are you good at?
Teaching comics how to find sponsors is one of my favorite things I've ever done. It's like you'll never see me, or taxes, which is so dumb. But like the way that I run my business and how everything is organized and like set up, and I don't pay attention to details. I have a bookkeeper and a CPA, two different people.
Oh.
Because I don't pay attention.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh yeah, you got to have this, this, and this because you need to protect this. And then I put that car under another business so I could write it off. It's fucking insane. It's wild.
A good CPA is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. So, it's still a. Oh yeah, sponsors. You'll never see me light up more than when I tell a person how to talk to a sponsor, to a like potential, or at least an interested sponsor.
Yeah.
If they come to you, if you follow this, you're in. There's no question.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But
That's very cool.
and it's crazy because a lot of us, some people are really good at business. And they're fucking terrible at comedy. Some people are incredible at comedy and terrible at business.
Yeah.
And I kind of think I walk the line right in the middle. I think I'm pretty good at business and I'm pretty good at comedy. I think that there's not a lot of people that can do what I can do anywhere. And, it's just a bummer because like a lot of times it's like I'm doing an hour in the middle of nowhere. And I just lay the fucking floor down. And they're like, what? And I'm like, God, I'm so good at this. Why did I get $300 for this? This is so stupid. This is like a $3,000 thing I just did.
Wow.
And it's like, it's just part of the game. That's how it is.
But, when you're doing shows with big names, you're going to accumulate those people that are like, man, what a great energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Okay. Well, we're in the twilight here. We're past an hour.
Okay. Sun's setting.
What else have we not talked about that you want people to know? We haven't mentioned good sessions other than in my introduction.
Well, let's do that. Yeah, let's talk about that. That's my new thing right now that I'm really trying to push. It's a interactive comedy and therapy show.
Yeah, I love that.
It's very fun. It's really cool. So
as a podcast therapist, because a lot of times I get the tea and I feel like I become a therapist. I have much respect for that show.
It's so fun. It's really cool. It like scratches that like need from the audience nowadays. Because everything's so TikTok crowd roasting, riffing based now, that it checks all those boxes. It's like, like the audience is submitting their questions to us 100% anonymously. And then we are roasting and riffing on those questions as a panel of comics. And then there's an anonymous chat room that they can that the audience can chime in on, that the only people can see that is the comics. And so you see the people out there when you start reading their comments. It's like, oh, they used one of mine. Like I've had folks come up to me after a show like, you used 3 of mine. Like they get they're so into the show.
Yeah.
Because it's all about them. It's a choose your own destiny show. This is all you. Without you, we have no show.
Yeah, that's true.
I have to go to Reddit at this point. If you're not submitting questions, there is no show. And that's what's so cool about it.
Yeah.
It's like I don't think there's a lot of shows that have that interactive component to it.
No.
So
yeah,
it's been really fun. So we do it 1st and 3rd and 5th Sundays at the Creek and the Cave. And so every 3 months we'll have a 5th, like a 3rd show in a month. But for the most part, 1st and 3rd Sundays, and then we live stream those as well, which I'm very proud that I figured out how to do that.
Yeah.
That took a lot of work. But we live stream every show we do, and we're hoping probably next year, that on the 2nd and 4th Sundays we'll be in a studio doing a live stream of like a podcast style version of that. Of that show, just so we can have something every week for everybody. But we live stream to my app. If you search in the iOS store, Good Session TV, you can find it. You can find it on Roku. You can find it on Apple TV, Fire TV, the Android store, Android TV as well. It's on there. Just search Good Session TV, and we got clips and we got full episodes on there and stuff like that as well. But where I'm trying to push the live. So me and my co-producer had a discussion about it of like, where are we going with this? Are we trying to push into the live version? Or because basically what I've discovered is on about the third episode, I discovered that I created a live podcast. Is basically what I did. And so I'm going backwards with it. Normally you do the podcast first and then you go live.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I've always done live entertainment. I've always produced shows.
Yeah.
This is how I do it. It's live. So are we pushing for the live stuff? Because I was like, I want to do New York and LA once a quarter and Denver once a quarter. So every month we have 2 to 3 in Austin, and then 1 in New York. The next month it's 1 in LA. The next month it's 1 at Comedy Works. And then we just rinse and repeat. So in theory, it's like every weekend I have this show. And our thought is like, yeah, that sounds great. But is it better cost-wise? Because I have to pay a videographer to come in. He's got 3 Blackmagic cameras. I have to pay someone to sit behind the iPad and do the live editing for the live stream. I'm there setting a bunch of that shit up, but... So and then I got to pay the comics, and it's a new show, so it's a negative on the show. However, I do believe in this show, and so the thought is: do we want to put more money in going to more locations, or do we want to put more time into what we have here and trying to really explode it out here in Austin at the Creek? Because it's like. For me, Sunday at 6 is such a perfect time for this show because it's almost like I don't know why I think this, but it's almost like confession. It's like your Sunday, you're wrapped up the thing, and like let's go talk about the things that happened this week. And it's early enough where you can go from brunch to there and still get home in time. Yeah. So that's why I'm really trying to push into the live stream. So we do it. So we live stream it to the app. We live stream it to my YouTube and to my Facebook for right now. Okay. And we can do more locations. We just have to have enough bandwidth to do it all. It's 6 megabytes because I live stream it in 1080p. It's full. Oh. It's full HD. It's a good quality. That's why I'm so thrilled on what I figured out because I created this whole thing through software, but I made it all work with information that they did not give anybody. They're like, yeah, you can do it wirelessly. And you're like, yeah, it's better if you create your own private Wi-Fi network, turn off the 2.4G, and then lock in those IMEI IPs from of those devices so they only connect and it's a full speed.
You are such a nerd.
It's so fucking dumb. I just want to do stand-up. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Like, I mean, it's complicated. It's complicated. I'm complicated.
Yeah. My goodness. Well.
So it's really fun. If you can't come see it, it's a lot. Or if you go to goodsessioncomedy.com, you can find the schedule there, some clips, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. My YouTube, Brent Gill, has my comedy special and a bunch of clips from the show and some full episodes. And then 1st and 3rd and 5th Sundays at Creek in the Cave, 7th and Red River downtown at 6 o'clock. And we live stream there as well.
Very cool.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Anything else that we haven't covered that you want to talk about? By the way, this is going to be everybody's Christmas gift, this episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm going to try to time it so that it's right before Christmas.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I have no merch that you can buy.
You don't?
No, not really.
Wow.
I have CDs that I sell when I'm on the road, but...
CDs?
I know. The problem is I bought a fuckload of them, and I'm like, now I don't know what to do with them. So I need merch, but...
You do need merch.
I got Boulder Comedy Show merch, but no one ever buys it.
Oh.
Which is weird. I think it's great merch, but maybe it's not linked up right. I don't really follow up. I have my intern did that one. No. I don't know. It was either her or my assistant. I have an assistant and I have an intern.
Lord. Wow. You have a little empire.
I had 2 interns for a while.
A little empire.
Yeah. One of them was getting paid to intern.
Nice.
From the school. Katie gets paid to be my intern. She didn't start that way, but my assistant lives in Sri Lanka, so. But she is. I've been with her for like a year and a half now. She's incredible.
Yeah.
Big fan of hers. I got nothing. Just watch my show. This is coming out on Christmas or like before Christmas.
Right before Christmas.
Do you have a date?
Nah.
I
mean, we usually do
like the
Sundays,
20s?
So we're, what did I write down? Next
So it'd be
Sunday would be the
22nd?
22nd, yeah.
Well, on that exact day, so if you're listening to this on the day that it drops, and it's early enough in the morning, I do the holiday roast at Comedy Works. This is the 7th year that we're doing that. So we dress up in holiday characters and roast each other in character.
Oh, that's fun.
Which is very fun. So that's on December 22nd. December 21st, I'm at Comedy Works South. December 20th, I'm headlining Comedy Works South.
Don't go backwards in time.
I know.
Brent.
Well, I don't know why.
If it drops on the 22nd.
Yeah. Well, I gave him the most important one first.
Yeah.
And then my website, Brent Gill Comedy, is there. But Good Session is what I'm trying to push. So follow that, download the app.
Yeah.
I'll see if you do or if you don't. I have statistics. But yeah, it's going to be a good time. It's a fun show.
All right.
You can even submit your questions from the live stream as well. So if you're live streaming it, you can submit questions if you're in Cincinnati or whatever. Mm-hmm. You can submit questions and chats as well.
Cool. We have a huge Cincinnati following.
Is that true?
No.
I was going to say, go bananas. This is fun.
Okay, and I'm super stoked. 2 degrees of separation from David Spade because growing up.
Would it be 1 degree? Because it's just me to him.
Yeah, I guess 1. When I was out of college when that '90s cast came out. And when Tommy Boy came out, here's my dorky little story. I worked for a company that would ship people off to other cities to do work because the San Antonio office didn't have enough work. So I went to LA to work, which is super cool because I was always like, stargazer. Got to do a, whatever they call, like, before a movie has been released. Like a test release or whatever.
Yeah. Like a screening?
Yeah, so I got to see a screening of Tommy Boy.
Cool.
But it was called like Fat Kid or something.
Was it really?
It really was.
Oh, I should ask him that, what the original name was.
And I remember being like, I was woke before woke was a thing. I remember saying, I really don't think that should be the focus.
That's so funny. It was called Fat Boy or something?
Something like that. It
That's
referenced
so funny.
that he was fat. And I love that movie then, and it's like an annual tradition. But I always related to the David Spade character because I was always the nerd.
Yeah.
And I was always the rule follower. Am.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
So I love Chris Farley very much, but I always related more to the David Spade character in that movie. So
that's awesome.
So yay, 1 degree. And his podcast is, so good with Dana.
Fly on the Wall?
So good.
They have 2 of them now. They have Fly on the Wall and Superfly.
Yep, I religiously listen to them. And I was so excited. This is how much of a nerd I am. I'm so excited because Dana has been on SNL now for like this season. Mm-hmm. And they finally brought David on to do a character.
Oh, nice.
I was super excited to see that. Because I'm like, they're such good friends. How are they not computing this?
Yeah.
So, anyway.
You hear him and Theo Vaughn are doing that movie?
Yes, they've talked about that on
They're
their
shooting
podcast.
on the 15th.
Yeah.
They're starting production on the 15th.
Yeah, very exciting. All right.
I'm going to try to squeeze into that somehow.
Yeah.
Let me be like an extra cop or something, dude.
There you go.
I got pictures of me being cops. I was a cop for a Jonah Ray show, Hidden America.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put me in a mustache. I'm a cop.
Yeah, you totally. Yeah. All right. Are you ready for your closing question?
Let's do it.
1 word to describe your future.
Fruitful.
Fruitful. I like that.
Prosperous, maybe. Yeah. That's more like in the emotional happiness side more than in the financial side. But I think the things I'm doing now, I think I like the path I'm going. I like the path I'm on. I'm excited to be a part of Whole Hecklers. If I do it right and I commit to it and I don't get scared of it, because success is always a little scary, but I could be a full-on golf influencer in 3 to 5 years if I do it right.
Yeah.
And That's kind of cool.
You need something to make that sport more entertaining.
I know.
Because you got a whole group of people who think that is the worst, most boring
It's so
sport.
fun. I picked two of the most expensive hobbies to get into: cars and golf. I could get into horses. I was gonna say
polo.
Polo.
Yep.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. But it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a good ride these next few years. I'm excited. Next year, I turned 40. It's gonna be a cool year. If it was anything like 30,
Yeah.
it should be fun.
Yeah.
Tired of fucking around.
Exciting. That's when you start realizing, oh, okay, I know my way around these
I also
lives.
think that I've set this thing up in my head that like 45 is like when I'm like, okay, cool. I should have all my shit ready and like really locked in, and then I'll get married and have kids.
Okay.
I don't want kids at all. That sounds like a terrible idea. It doesn't sound fun. Every time I see my friends with kids, I'm like, ugh. I think I'll just marry into them if I have to. I don't
Yeah.
want. But
That's the trick right
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that is a wrap on Comedy Wham presents Brent Gill. Brent, tell us again your social.
Yeah. So you can follow me on Instagram at I am Brent Gill. You can follow me on Facebook if you do that / Brent Gill Comedy, I think. You'll know it's me. It's got a colorful background. There's an apple on my head. And there's a photo of me at Red Rocks there. On the stage of Red Rocks, which is cool.
That's very cool.
Instagram at I am Brent Gill. My website, BrentGillComedy.com. Good Session. You can follow us on Instagram at goodsession.comedy. And download the app, Good Session TV, on your TV or on your phone, however you choose to view it. It's a really, really fun show. Come see it first and third Sundays at the Creek and the Cave, and the fifth Sundays. So we got 3 this month. It'll be great.
Nice. Watch
my special,
Yeah, watch the
live from
special.
Gilladelphia.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Only 75% of the way through, and it's all.
It doesn't get worse.
It's all hits.
It doesn't get worse at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah. It's very good. All right. Well, we hope you've enjoyed learning about how Brent got to be the comedic genius and calculus guy,
Yeah, for real.
figuratively, but very insightful on the business of comedy. Got to be the comedic genius you heard today just as much as I have. This has been Comedy Wham presents Brent Gill. I'm Valerie, and that's been funny. Thank you,
Hell
Brent.
yeah.
Yay! We did
Chocolate
it.
time.
We finally did it.
We finally did it, 2 years in the making.